We're here with John Wood. We're pretty stoked about what we get to talk about. We're going to start off, we usually do this with athletes, you know, and you're an athlete as well yourself, but you also have the coaching side, you know, and we really want to get a look into the coaching side, the gym side, and the business owner side as well, for people to kind of figure that out. But let's start from the beginning. You know, where are you from?
Originally, Las Vegas. I grew up here. Been here since the second grade.
Yeah.
I was originally from Texas, but I moved out here when I was a little kid, so I spent most of my days here in this town.
Cool.
Moved away a little bit here and there to Arizona, but ended up finding my way back and into mixed martial arts.
Now, at what point in life did you find out about mixed martial arts?
So, always been a big fan of combat sports. Grew up with my dad watching boxing, kickboxing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Always loved professional wrestling and all that,
For sure.
all that stuff. And that always intrigued me. Did the traditional martial arts when I was a kid for a couple of years. Just wasn't my cup of tea.
Right.
And then, I think I was about 13, 14 years old when they started doing the UFCs.
Right.
Maybe even a little bit younger, I don't know. And I remember watching the very first UFC on pay-per-view at my friend's house and fell in love with it from there.
Hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now at that point, 13 or 14 years old, was there actually a mixed martial arts gym, or was it something you had to just kind of pick one discipline and train?
I was a huge fan of the UFC for years. Always followed it from day one. When I got old enough, I actually had moved to Arizona for a couple years, and out there you only had to be 18 years old to start bouncing.
Okay.
So I started actually bouncing in nightclubs, which led me to doing some close quarter combat training and things just to protect myself and be in a situation. And that was the beginning of the lead into all of the mixed martial arts. We're all learning some stand-up stuff, learning some Muay Thai, and then I wanted to fall into the ground. And then once I got to that position, I fell in love with it.
Awesome.
So about 18 years old, 19 years old is when I really started, super getting into it.
And you thought, this is my thing, and I want to be involved with this for as long as possible.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I wanted to fight, and I just, for me, growing up, I knew I always wanted to kind of own my own business, do my own thing. I'm not the kind of person that I wasn't, I went to college, I did the whole thing, but sitting in a desk job and those kind of things is not my forte. So I always knew I needed to work for myself, and I was just, at the time, didn't know how I was going to do it. But when I found mixed martial arts and started training, I was like, man, I would love to do this as a profession. So I really started, what started steering me to fighting is that knowing that someday I wanted to be a coach, or I wanted to do this as a profession. So I actually got into fighting early on to have that experience, to be able to pass on the knowledge to other people, and have that in-time experience. And there's a lot of great coaches who haven't fought ever, but I just felt like I wanted to, I needed to have the experience.
Yeah, that relation, being able to say or get advice from somebody who's done it before.
I know what you're going
huge. Yeah, I agree. Now I'm going to jump into this a little bit earlier. We're going to come back to the business side of things, but 13, 14, you see the UFC. You just barely got to be one of the head coaches for Team Jones on The Ultimate Fighter. How surreal was that?
It was pretty awesome. The thing is I've been in the sport for a long time, 15 years, 16 years I've been around the sport. I've always been real fortunate to be in great camps around big name fighters, big name trainers. So it was a pretty awesome experience. It was still really cool, but I'm used to it. I actually did The Ultimate Fighter. I got picked to do The Ultimate Fighter in season 7. I actually got injured right before I went to the show. I went and did it anyways, and the first day I got to the show, I tore my bicep tendon off the bone completely.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
And I didn't tell anybody. I went and fought with one arm, just hoping that a miracle would happen or something. And
right.
So it didn't work out. So I had been in the Ultimate Fighter gym. I'd been around that experience. It was really cool. It was the last couple of years. Greg Jackson is a really good friend of mine. He's kind of taken me under his wing, and that's kind of my mentor at this point in time of learning how to coach and learning all the things that he does. The guy's one of the smartest guys I've ever met, if not the smartest guy in the business. Great coach, great guy, really cares about his fighters. So he's, like I said, has really taken me under his wing and allowed me to work with some of his fighters and allowed me to go to his school and train with him, and he comes out here and spends time. And that's how the Ultimate Fighter thing came about. Is I got a call and basically said, hey, I'd like to put you in this position with John and all this, on the Ultimate Fighter, and have you go ahead and do your thing. So that was really, really cool.
That's cool.
That was an awesome situation. It's done great. It did give me a little more notoriety, and I've gotten to know some of the guys on the show are some fantastic fighters.
Right.
Some guys that have come out and done some camps with me already and worked with me, and some guys that I'll stay working with have pretty much joined my team and things like that. So it was a great experience, man. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
It was man, it was a fun show to watch this season. Lots of awesome fighters. The coaches were cool. It was a really good season. They're all good.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch this year. Now, going from fighting, when you fight, you're in control, you do your own thing, you're in charge of yourself. What's it like stepping back as a coach? Coaching these guys, going to their fights, and hoping that everything you taught them is going to happen in the ring? So,
when I retired a couple years ago, I've always been kind of, half-ass coaching for a long time. I've had the school, owned my own school for 13 years, and the ideal was, I'm going to own my own school, all I got to do is train, I'm going to just train all day and do this. It's like a business, like anything else. If you don't run it, it doesn't do its thing, So that kind of owning the business ended my fighting career, or it really hindered it. I did end up with about 20 pro fights, but when so I'd always kind of, like I said, been kind of half coaching. When I retired and decided to go full-time coaching, I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it is. Man, it is so much more stressful for the simple fact that you're in command of other people's destinies, careers. They're going out there with the knowledge that you bestow on them and hoping that they perform and hoping that they believe in you and that that everything goes smoothly, and you don't want to see your guys get hurt. It's much more, way more nerve-wracking than just going out and doing it yourself. It's such a high-pressure situation. After a fight, after my guys fight, I'm exhausted. I usually just go home, go to bed, like the adrenaline rush, and having to be able to fine-tune, how your corner work when you work into a corner, knowing that your fighter, that you have to spend an amount of time so they know what you're saying, being calm, cool, collected, not letting those emotions coming out, keeping them calm, cool, collected. It's way more of a stressful situation than I anticipated.
I bet.
But it also is way more fulfilling when you guys go out there and get a knockout or a submission, or they win a fight, and you're just like, wow, it's like your kids doing,
making it.
Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world. So,
what's the one thing you try to say or bestow in your fighters' minds before they fight?
Just that, what I always tell my guys before they go out is that you're here for a reason, and the reason is this is what you want to do. You love to do this. All the hard work, everything you've already put into the gym. At this point in time, what I always tell them is that you wouldn't be here if you weren't ready. Okay, so a lot of things before you fight, negative feelings, all that, your mind starts playing these horrible tricks on you. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if he hits me with a lucky punch? Tell my guys all the time, you gotta push that crap out. It's nothing but positive reinforcement. That creeps into your head. It has to be pushed out right away. I don't care what he does. I don't care if he goes out there and hits me as hard as he can. When he hurts me, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna get back up. I'm gonna go out. My body is trained. Just letting these guys know they are absolutely ready for that position, and that me as a coach, I will not allow my guys to fight if I do not believe they are ready in that coach. I would not, ready for that fight. I would not be in their corner. I would not support that, because I will not put any of my guys out there to do that. So just giving them that peace of mind that they're there because they're ready, and that's what they love to do, and that's just one step closer to the ultimate dream of becoming a bigger, better, hopefully making it for the big show.
Right. Yeah. It's really incredible to listen to you talk about that. One of the things I love about the mixed martial arts world is people really care. It's something where we deal in all the action sports, and the combat sports area for some reason seems so tight knit. Everyone's willing to help each other out. If it's for our business and we ask somebody, hey, do you mind if we do an interview with you? Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's really difficult in other areas, in other sports. Why do you think that is? Just
one is we're a newer sport, and it hasn't been tainted and tarnished yet. There's not a lot of corrupt people in there, and it's getting there. There are people starting to infiltrate and do their thing, but for the most part, most fighters are very humble. Most fighters, we don't come from much money and much, situations, and we're very grateful to get any kind of press, exposure for the sport, exposure for our teams, exposure for ourselves. So most guys, and truthfully, like I said, most fighters are the most laid-back guys that you'll ever meet.
They are. I know, it's crazy.
The guys that are out there, starting bar fights or jackasses walking around, I'm a fighter, there's a million of those guys in this town especially. Everybody I meet these days is a fighter or whatever. You train once,
And then you're
not a fighter. But you know, I just think that we are a very tight-knit community. It's a very smaller, you know, compared to, we're growing. I think we're probably one of the fastest growing sports.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like I said, it's still very humble beginnings, and you know, I just don't think we have that ego and that attitude yet that, like, say, some of these sports stars that are coming up and making, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars, or the guys that are babied through college, high school, taken care of, you know, professional sports athletes. Yeah. They get a sense of entitlement real quick, you know. Even out of high school, you're touted, you know, hey, you're going to be the next big thing. You get to college, you're treated like a superstar. You get to whatever. So by the time you become a professional athlete, you're already accustomed to all that, you know, BS, and you're accustomed to people kissing your ass and this, that, and the other. It doesn't really happen here. You get guys that are, you know, poor coming off the streets or this, that, and the other. It's a different kind of mindset.
You have to earn it.
Yeah, it's a different kind of mindset, you know.
Last question. With all of these kids nowadays who are looking up to these UFC athletes or mixed martial arts athletes, no matter what organization it is, what advice do you have for them?
I mean, fighting isn't necessarily for everybody. Like I said, I think that it takes a certain kind of special person to want to get into a cage, and everybody thinks it's all fun and games until you get in there and realize that you're locked into a cage, you know, with another man who wants to beat the crap out of you. I would say anybody. I think mixed martial arts is the next generation of, you know, like what we had before, karate, kung fu, the traditional martial arts. I think this is becoming the new thing. I think anybody. You know, it's a great discipline, great for kids, great for all that stuff. It teaches you, you know, self-discipline. It teaches you. I think anybody should learn how to defend themselves. I mean, in what I've seen in most kids come in here that train, like I said, we have ages from 4 to 65 in here. It's just a really, when I see people train mixed martial arts, they get such a different perspective on what we do and a self-worth. I really believe that if you come in here and fighting is what you want to do, then you can make that happen. Anybody can be a fighter. But if you're learning mixed martial arts, I think overall it's going to be a great experience for anybody to learn how to defend yourself, get in shape, do those things. Try it out, man. You know, if it's one of those things and you get in here and you get into any gym, and a good gym, with the goals of being a fighter, you can make that happen. But just you know, get in, get some good training, and figure that out. The one thing I see with most people is, I get into a gym, I want to be a fighter, and in 6 months and 3 months they're, you know, trying to force themselves. And there's a lot of shows and a lot of amateur shows out there that will take anybody and let them fight right off the bat. Just take your time with it. Get into a good school. Learn the art form. You know, learn mixed martial arts. Learn jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, and everything. Take your time and see if it's for you. You know, and if it's something you love to do, then try it out by all means. You know, it's a great sport. I think it's going to just keep getting better and better. But don't rush it. You know, take your time.
Take your time. Well, listen, John, we appreciate your time. Thank you for what you're doing for the sport. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome to watch what you did on My Ultimate Fighter, and just being here for the day, watching what you're doing with everyone else. So thanks for the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.